Good morning. My name is Frank Ramos, and I'm a partner here at Clark Silverlight. Today we'll be talking about LinkedIn for lawyers. I'm coming to you from my office here in December on a Saturday morning, and we'll be covering all of the pros and cons of LinkedIn and how to use it and how best to use it effectively for your practice and for your law firm. Now, we find ourselves still in the middle of the COVID pandemic. As of yesterday, we're still having a large number of deaths and cases, and thank God the vaccines have been approved and will be coming soon and should be addressing a lot of the issues. But what's happened since the beginning of COVID 19 in the spring is that many of us have gotten accustomed to working from home, working remotely, and socializing remotely. Many conferences have been canceled. Many will be canceled through the spring. Many opportunities to meet with people for drinks or dinner, lunch, or coffee have been canceled, and those have been put on hold indefinitely. And what we've been left with are a lot of Zoom calls and FaceTiming and more phone calls and text messages and interacting with each other on social media platforms. And it's become sort of a habit and a custom for many of us. And the things with habits is once we become accustomed to something, it becomes ingrained in our system, it's hard to go back. And so even when things return to normal, which hopefully will be sooner than later, I think there'll be a new normal now. I think we're all going to be used to dealing with each other more on social media, on platforms like Zoom, like this one, and other similar platforms. I think we're going to be traveling a little bit less, going to a fewer conferences. Certainly not staying for them as long, maybe not traveling as far for them. And so it's important as a lawyer and as a law firm to make the most of what we have to market ourselves, our practice, and our firms. And I think LinkedIn is really the best platform for that. So let me tell you a little bit about my history with LinkedIn, my background with the platform, why I use it and how I use it, and then I'll discuss about why you should use it and how you should use it. This is sort of a just general discussion. It's based on my own experience, and it may not be similar to yours. But I've been in the platform for a while and have learned a lot from it, and hopefully I'm going to share with you what I've learned, both good and bad. Now, I started on the LinkedIn platform, I want to say around 2007. At the time, I really wasn't that acquainted or familiar with the platform, didn't know how to use it or what its purpose was. I thought it was some sort of like online resume where people want to get to know you, could find your profile. And at the time, that's basically what it was used for. A lot of headhunters used it to hire people. People who were looking for jobs used to try to get jobs through the platform. In terms of networking and marketing and interacting with people, it was still sort of at the embryonic stages and really wasn't that well equipped to do those sort of or handle those sort of issues. And so I was on the platform for a few months, kind of got bored on it of it and got off. Got back around 2010. Again, augmented my profile, started connecting with people, started interacting with folks a little bit more. But honestly, still wasn't really that familiar or accustomed to how to use the platform. Wasn't really sure how to make the most of it. I know at the time people were writing recommendations for each other and referring to each other's skill sets and trying to connect and possibly even message each other. I guess similar to Facebook, but not quite. It was for business. It wasn't for more personal things. And again, not quite understanding and appreciating how to use it. I had grown my LinkedIn network, but walked away from it once again. It wasn't until 2016 that I picked it up in earnest. I just published a book with DRI called The Associate's Handbook. It was sort of soup to nuts for associates and wanted to promote it and get it out there. And so I started including excerpts every day as a post on LinkedIn to my followers and connections. And I started growing my following that way and committed early on, sometime in August of 2016, to post daily. And ever since then, I have posted daily, including weekends and holidays. And I may have missed a day or two over these last 4+ years. But what's happened is that since 2016, August of 2016 to now, December of 2020, my following has grown from about 2,000 connections to over 55,000 followers. I get lots of likes and shares and comments on my posts. And most of my posts, on average, are viewed between 10 and 20,000 times. And I've had posts, not a number of them actually, between viewed many more times, and some having gone viral, having been viewed hundreds of thousands, not a billion or more times. And this process I've engaged in has been a long-term investment in my time and energy on the platform. I truly love LinkedIn. I've loved the relationships I've developed, the people I've met, the stuff I've learned, and the information I've gathered over these 4+ years. And it is just a great platform. I do not pay for the premium package. For those of you familiar with the platform, you can pay for a premium package. There are certain levels of premium packages you can pay for. I don't think it's necessary. I think that's largely used by headhunters and recruiters who want to reach out to more people and try to connect with them to try to place them. But I think your average professional, certainly your lawyer, does not need to do that. Some lawyers do it and enjoy it, and God bless them. But that's not what I do. It's not necessary, and there's no financial investment whatsoever on your part to get involved with LinkedIn other than your time and your energy. But you don't have to pay for LinkedIn or pay any sort of monthly subscription or advertise on the platform to make it work for you and for your law firm. And so that was sort of my story. I went from not understanding the platform to really embracing it wholeheartedly. And so why am I on the platform? I'm on the platform for several reasons. One, I truly enjoy helping young lawyers and law students. Most of my posts, for those of you who follow me, are geared toward them. It's largely an advice column that I provide on a daily basis with my insights, experiences, my wins, losses, my mistakes and foibles, so that other people can learn from them. And in the process, I try to share a lot of information about how-tos, how to pre-litigation skills, trial skills, marketing, managing, leadership, a whole host of issues, both on the practical side and on the more soft skill side. And hopefully people have learned and gotten some value from what I've had to say over these last several years. So that's my primary motivation, and it's really been helpful. My secondary motivation, but it's also a very important one, is that's been able to promote our firm, our practice areas, what we do. It's increased our online footprint. It's increased our ability to influence. It's increased our reach. It has increased the relationships we have and deepened many of those relationships, and has laid the foundation for potential referral sources from existing and prospective clients. And so let's understand how social media works generally, and then we'll talk about LinkedIn more specifically. In terms of the era we find ourselves in, so many of us live on social media. Even those of us who think we don't, we do. We are sort of in a post-private world where people are accustomed to hearing everything we have to say or do and share all of our information. And so we are in a community where there's an expectation that we're going to kind of wear our hearts and our lives in our sleeve. And social media allows us to do that. Now, certainly LinkedIn is a professional network, but even within the auspices of LinkedIn, we're able to share some personal information that gives us a more sort of personal feel to people. And I think there's a sense of people when they hire a professional, and not just limited to lawyers, that not only do they want to know you, but they want to like you and they want to trust you. They want to know that you are on their side, that you will be representing them, that you will be putting their interests first, and that you are someone that they can have a professional relationship with. And in order to do that, they have to get to know you first. And if you think about it, that's not all uncommon when we go to cocktail parties or to events and we introduce ourselves and we talk about our families and our hobbies and our trips and what we watch and what we read. And, it's rare that we exclusively talk about what we do and how we can serve as prospective clients' interests. In fact, those sort of conversations are somewhat awkward and don't generally lead to business. Typically, this way where we talk about other things. We talk about who we are, of course, in our practice and what we do, but we go well beyond that and kind of create a full picture of ourselves, fill in the blanks and connect the dots so that people can see who we really are. And these days, obviously, we can't do that as much because of COVID-19. But social media allows us to do that. We're allowed to create an image of ourselves, and project that out into the world. And for those who like and embrace and enjoy that image, who have commonalities with us and see us as someone they would like and enjoy working with, that helps us promote our person, our brand, our firm, our practice areas. And so think of social media as that way. Think of it as sort of a conversation you're having on a daily basis, preferably with a larger community. And it's many ways. In some ways, it's a one-way conversation, but people interact with you. They'll comment, they'll post, they'll share, and like, maybe message you privately. But to some degree, it is a one-way communication. But you are projecting to the world out there who you are and what you are and what you do. And so what LinkedIn lets me do, what would let you do, is to let other people know what you practice, how you practice it, share your expertise, share your knowledge base, provide content in that area. And so that people, when they come to read your posts for a period of time, they come to see you as an expert and a thought leader in that one or more practice areas. And so when they have a need, a legal issue, or a case in your geography or geographic region, they think of you to represent them. So you've created this relationship with them, a relationship that has built and grown over weeks, months, and even years. And they come to see you as someone they know and like and trust through LinkedIn. And this happens through other platforms, but I think LinkedIn is particularly well suited for professionals because it allows you to really focus on what you do as a lawyer and talk about that. So getting back to why I use it, first I mentioned sort of mentoring young lawyers and law students too. It's also to build our firm and my individual brand and to get people to know us and myself and someone that they can know and like and trust, refer us and myself cases that we can handle. And basically through my posts, I hope that they see someone that they trust, that they know will do a good job for them, that is thoughtful, that is efficient, that is hardworking, that is responsive, that is service-oriented, and will do a good job. And you create a body of work on a social media platform where others come to see you, get to know you, and it makes it easier. Someone's had to refer a case they don't know to someone. Like if no one knows me, how they don't even know to pick up the phone, call me, or email me. And so there's certain layers of getting to know somebody. Obviously, you meet somebody, you introduce yourself, that's one layer. Then you maybe have lunch or coffee, that's another layer. Then you communicate over the phone or text messages, that's another layer, and so on and so forth. Maybe you hang out somewhere, go to a conference together. LinkedIn allows you to sort of encapsulate and push all that together over a long period of time. You share a lot of information about your practice and some information about yourself, about your own accolades and your own successes. And generally the rule of thumb, and we'll get to this a little bit later, but generally the rule of thumb is my recommendation is that for every post you do where you're congratulating yourself or patting yourself in the back, you do 4 posts where you're providing or sharing content. And you're not really discussing how great you are, but you're sort of maybe sharing a case or discussing a statute or maybe taking an article and printing it up over a series of posts and providing value, free value to your followers and to your connections. So that was the second event. And I think third, and this is kind of interesting personally for me, I have 2 adult sons. They are 22 and 19. My older son just graduated from Florida State University, and he follows me on LinkedIn. And a lot of my posts actually are kind of geared toward him. They are, a lot of my posts are inspirational, motivational in nature. They are geared to help young professionals advance, move forward, set goals, plan strategically. And I think by posting, I'm able to share my thoughts with him as I would do at home anyway. But he also sees how other people interact with those thoughts and he can make his own conclusion as to whether or not he should listen to this old man. But I think other people seem to agree with what I have to say. So there's that. So those are my prime motivations. And over the number of years, as I mentioned, my following has grown from 2,000 connections to 55,000 followers. I make that distinction because once you hit 30,000 connections, that's it. You can't have any more connections. Just like on Facebook, where I'm also active on, you can't have more than 5,000 friends. And so after a while, you just have to let people know to follow you. And the distinction between connections and followers is that connections can communicate with you on the platform directly through their messaging system and platform, but followers cannot. And so you have to let them know to contact you in another way. You provide your email, your phone number, or some other ways of reaching you, maybe your website or something like that. And also what's curious is that you'll find a lot of people, once you start posting on a given area, you find a lot of people interested in that area following and flocking to you and recommending that others follow and share what you have to say. And it sort of adds to the notion that you become an expert. Now, I practice here in Florida, and Florida has some specific rules about ethics related to referring yourself as an expert. It's kind of a no-no. We all have these categories, chambers and best and so forth, that most get listed on, AD rating and so forth. And in Florida, you can get board certified in a number of different areas. But outside of those sort of two silos, you really can't be referring yourself as an expert. What social media does, specifically LinkedIn, is it allows you to become an expert without calling yourself an expert. It allows you to become a thought leader without referencing yourself as a thought leader. It allows you to develop a huge following and let people think that you are the go-to person in a given area without saying that. And because what you're doing is you're posting regularly in an area that you know and work on, and you're sharing your expertise. And people who want to know more about that area start following you. Others start following you, start sharing, liking your posts, start commenting on it. And people who want to know more about that practice area, specifically in your geographic region, are going to be following you more and more. And they're going to start seeing you as an expert. Journalists will start calling you. You're going to start getting asked to write articles on that topic, to speak on that topic, and so on and so forth. And one of the benefits I've had is that I've been invited to speak on a couple dozen podcasts over the last couple of years. I've been invited to write a lot. I've contributed to a number of publications and articles. I've been asked to speak a number of panels and make a number of presentations. And a number of organizations that are in-house related have reached out to me and speak to their followers. These are all potential clients that can refer business to our firm. So again, if you're thinking about long-term, what you want your lawyers doing, you want your lawyers getting in front of prospective clients. You want your lawyers developing relationships with prospective clients. You want your lawyers having a reputation that prospective clients know and reach out to them. LinkedIn provides that forum and that opportunity to do all of those. It is an interesting and very positive platform that enables and allows you to achieve all of these things. So that's sort of my story in a nutshell. And, I continue to grow my following. My goal ultimately is to have over 250,000 followers and to start posting more videos and other sources on the platform. It is an ongoing process. Growth is continue and steadily upward, but obviously it happens incrementally. It does not grow overnight. But it does allow you to continue developing a following, continue developing and understanding. Another side effect and positive of it, by the way, is that all of us want to be listed in these listings, best and super this and elite that and everything else, chambers, whatever else. What happens with LinkedIn is that you start developing a reputation in a given area, and when people have to vote and think of people that they want to list for those listings, they think of you. I've appeared in certain listings and certain publications where I suspect in no small part to do with my involvement on this platform, LinkedIn. So that's another positive. So let's transition from me to you. Let's transition about why you should use it and how you should use it. So let's go back to why you should use it. I think one, we are now in a sort of post-COVID world. We're still in COVID world, but soon a post-COVID world where the old will return to some degree, but not completely. We will start having in-person conferences again, but I think somewhat they're going to be changed. They may not be as longer. They may not be in as exotic places. They may have a certain component that's more virtual. We're going to have a lot more virtual opportunities, more virtual webinars and presentations. I think people are generally going to meet less in person because of the cost and expense related to that. And I think both companies and law firms have had to tighten their belts over this year, and loosening the belt is always slower than the tightening of the belt. And I think a lot of firms and organizations are going to cut travel expenses and entertainment expenses. And so where does that leave us as lawyers and law firms? Well, we have LinkedIn to help us sort of bridge that gap. And so if you are a law firm and you are doing a strategic planning session or analysis, trying to figure out how you're going to market your firm, your practice areas, your lawyers, and you're limited in terms of travel, conferences, and personal engagement, then the alternatives are a few. Obviously, you can sort of bolster your website, and certainly you should do that. And then another thing is, advertise online. That's certainly a possibility. But then the most common, I think, sort of the baseline for most lawyers is to look at social media. And the major social medias are Twitter, which largely I don't think is a great venue to promote your firm. It becomes a troll farm in many ways, but some people use it successfully. There's Instagram, which is largely a photo sharing site, and some firms use that with some success. There's Facebook, but really not a platform for promoting businesses as it is a personal site, although some people have had some success there. But I think of all the social media platforms, LinkedIn is the one geared toward professionals, used by professionals, B2B, business to business, and it provides the best opportunity and ability to get to know and like other, attorneys and in-house counsel and adjusters and insurance professionals. So it's probably the best game in town right now, and probably will continue being the best game in town for a while, certainly until things return to normal. And even after that, what happens is that it will become a habit for many of us. Many of us will become accustomed to using LinkedIn. I've seen certainly an uptick in terms of people being active on the platform, joining the platform, interacting on the platform much more than they were maybe just a year ago. And again, I've been on that platform very actively since August 2016. So I look at this very closely. I look at the analytics. I look at what people are doing, how they're interacting with each other, what the trends are. And there's been a huge uptick by professionals, especially by lawyers on LinkedIn. People are there. People are communicating. They're interacting. They are dealing with one another on that platform. And so if that's where the clients are, the prospective clients are, that's where you want to be. So that's a good reason to do it. I think also, too, for firms, especially smaller firms, mid-sized firms that don't have the same amount of resources and don't have the amount of money to do a lot of large advertising, LinkedIn provides you an opportunity to gain a large following for nothing. Yes, there's time involved, there's energies, there's attorney time, but there are no hard costs. There's no advertising budget. There is no, you're not taking out ads or anything like that. You're basically just taking some time and posting some things on the platform. So in a time where we're all kind of reducing costs, LinkedIn makes a lot of sense. Three, the people you want to reach are there. The clients, prospective clients, have been there for a while. They've become more active there. They're looking for content. Understand that of all the people on LinkedIn, the people who post regularly and provide valuable content is less than 1% of the members. Think about that. And I've seen this stat at several places. I think maybe 15% of people who are members actually post with any regularity, and only 1% post anything of substance with any regularity. Some people basically just use it to promote themselves. That's part of it, but you really have to provide valuable content on the platform. And for those who are doing that on a regular basis, you really kind of shine and quickly develop a following on the platform. And so how do you go about doing this? Let's say, okay, Frank, you sold me, I want to do LinkedIn. What do I do? All right, so let's start with some prefatory questions. One, LinkedIn isn't for everybody. I know I've been boasting and talking about LinkedIn and telling you should do it, but I'll be the first to admit that LinkedIn isn't ever for everybody. There's certain people who just don't like social media. They don't like being active on social media, and LinkedIn is no different. And so don't join LinkedIn for joining LinkedIn's sake. Don't join that because I'm telling you or someone else is telling you to. It's not worth it. If you're building business other ways, that's fine. And I think the best question you ask yourself, if you're going to get involved in LinkedIn, and you really should be posting regularly, ideally daily, ask yourself, will I still be posting regularly, if not daily, a year from now? And if the answer is no, and be honest with yourself, if the answer is no, don't start. You're better taking that time doing something else. Don't start. I think a lot of times we all lie to ourselves, and we all think, and we have these great plans, they're grandiose, we think we're going to do A, B, or C, and we never do it, and then we wonder what happened. It's because we're kind of lying to ourselves. So, when I committed to doing LinkedIn daily in 2016, I actually asked myself, will I still be doing this 5 years from now? And I was going to say, yeah, I probably will. But ask yourself if you'd be doing it a year from now. And if the answer is yes, all right, then commit to it. And this is what you'll do. This is what I suggest. Pick a topic or a couple topics that are broad enough that you can be able to post about on a regular basis. What I recommend is that you pick a subject area or two that you practice in, that are specific that you can be able to post about regularly. Let's assume you do high-end catastrophic injury defense, or you do cybersecurity, or you do employment ADA work. Pick one area, and then think through and ask yourself, what can you write about in that area on a daily basis over a year? Now, that seems like a lot, but let's understand how LinkedIn works. I'm not suggesting you write these long-form articles every day, although LinkedIn does have that platform, and you can do that. On my time on LinkedIn, despite having posted every day, I've only written maybe a dozen articles. I don't find them particularly useful or helpful. I think there's a lot of work, and people don't generally click and read them. But if you want to do articles, that's fine. I don't personally recommend it. Some people enjoy doing it. That's up to you. But that's not the way I approach LinkedIn. Understand that LinkedIn, each day, you're allowed 1,300 characters per post. That's not a lot. It's a few sentences, a paragraph, maybe two. So imagine you wrote an article for DRI's for the defense, and it was 5,000 words. And it's a sort of article you can break down. It's already broken down for you because you have a lot of headings and subheadings. You can take that article and basically split it up into little blurbs, and probably take that article and spread it out for over a month. And suddenly you have 30 posts instead of one post. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is just coming up with general topics. Maybe each day you decide that today you're going to write about recent cases. Monday will be recent case day or recent legislation day. Tuesday will be tip of the week. Some tip on that practice area. 3 would be future trends in that area. Thursday could be some article you've read about that area you want to share and you want to comment on. And Friday could be some potpourri day, something just generic or general. Or maybe you take a different approach. Maybe you sit down with a journal or with a Word document and you think through all the different topics and ideas you want to write about. And you look at them carefully and you brainstorm it further. And from those ideas, you split those up into further ideas. You take these large molecules and you break them down to individual atoms. You break the atom to electrons and protons. And you have all these individual specific ideas. Remember, 1,300 characters, not much to say there. And suddenly you think to yourself, yeah, I can do this. I can certainly do this. Getting started is the hardest part. It's like dieting or exercise. The first 3 weeks is tough. If you can get past 3 weeks in a diet, 3 weeks in an exercise plan, odds are you're going to make it. That's the hardest part. LinkedIn, social media, same thing. If you can commit to posting every day for 3 weeks and at 3 weeks you're still doing it, chances are you've gotten out of the woods, you're going to make it. And that's what, and that kind of brings me back to an earlier point I made about how we're going to be interacting with each other on a future going basis. We've been in this very strange world since March of this year. It is now December. It is 3/4 of the year. We've become used to doing certain things. Can we get unused to them? Sure. But we're used to them. And we're used to now social media. We're used to interacting with each other on our phones. We're used to using Zoom. And to think that everybody's just bounce back or go back to the way things were. Some of them are, some of them can't wait. But there's a large segment of the population that are going to start interacting with each other on social media, prospective clients of yours, actual clients of yours. And so in order to hold on to those people, you're going to have to stick with these platforms and get acclimated, get used to it. I think some people, whether it was Zoom or others, they learned what they needed to learn. They figured, we'd get back to normal sooner than later. And I don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to be interacting on these platforms for some time. So that's what I suggest. Get to use the platform and get acquainted with it. And so pick a topic, post every day, and the thing with LinkedIn is that you should probably get used to not only using it on your computer or on your laptop, but also on your phone. Most people interact with LinkedIn on the phone. I do most of my posts on my phone. I know most people who use LinkedIn use it on their phone. So, download the app. It's free, and get used to downloading it on your phone, using it on your phone. On a parallel track, as you are posting on a regular basis, start making connections. LinkedIn will recommend people you know or may know. You can connect with them. Remember, you're limited to 30,000 connections. It's a lot of connections, though. And connect with folks, maybe connect with people you may not know that well. LinkedIn is sort of a professional network. If you kind of know somebody, it's okay to network. It's not like Facebook where, like you're just not connecting with random people. But I think LinkedIn kind of gives you permission and the participants kind of give themselves permission to kind of connect with people that they may tangentially know, they should know, they may want to know, and that's all perfectly fine. It's a different type of platform. It's a little more open in terms of making and creating connections. And so over time, what's going to happen is that you're going to grow your connections, you're going to grow your following because people are going to be reading your posts, and people are going to be seeing what you have to say about your given practice area. They're going to come to think of you as a thought leader and expert in that practice area. And when they have a case or a need, they're going to refer you that case. So that's what they're going to be thinking about you as someone that wants to refer that case to you. So it's a long-term commitment. It takes months, weeks, months, and sometimes even years. But to be honest, after even a few weeks, you'll start seeing that you start growing your platform, you start growing connections, people start reaching out to you and reach out to others. You can certainly message each other through the platform and say, I noticed that you've been liking my posts or following my posts. We have this in common. Maybe we can have a Zoom call or Zoom chat, or maybe we can, if you're in my area and when things return normal, we can grab some coffee, or if I go up to your area, we can grab some coffee. Again, you're trying to build those relationships. Relationships take time. They take a certain level of connection. People say it takes about 9 to 12 touches or contacts to develop a real relationship with somebody. And what LinkedIn allows you to do is you're constantly in their person's feed on a daily basis. So you're creating that daily contact with that person day in and day out, and they're getting to know you because in your posts, you're sharing your practice, what you do, your thoughts, and so forth, and you're developing a certain personality. Hopefully, it's one people like and enjoy, I'm sure, and they'll think of you as somebody they want to refer their business to. And you're also creating sort of the social contract where when you give something over a period of time of value, there's a certain group in your network who feel like they have to pay you back. If you are regularly posting on a subject matter, let's say you're doing negligent security cases, you're defending negligent security cases, and you're talking about, how to use experts, what experts need to think about, what you need to think about, what the cases are saying, how that area is evolving, what are the new cases that are in that practice area. And maybe there's some line adjusters who handle those cases and they're following you because they want to get their thoughts on it. And you may not even know that they're following you that carefully because they're not commenting or liking your posts. They're a friend of yours, they're a connection of yours, but they're kind of off to the side and they're just liking what you say. There's going to be some of those who feel like, well, they have some obligation to you because you've given them so much valuable information. You've helped them address their cases and their caseload and even given ideas to them and ideas they can share with their outside counsel. That when they have a negligent security case that needs defending in your neck of the woods, they may give you a call. You may get a random call one day or an email or a message saying, oh, I've been following you for a while. I like what you post. You certainly seem knowledgeable. You seem expert. And, I wanted to refer this case to you. That's not uncommon, actually. That happens. I get calls a number of occasions with a lot of different matters. Often I can't handle it because it's not really my practice area, but I get a lot of calls because people feel like they owe me something. I get a lot of calls to handle family law matters and divorces and bankruptcies and trust and estates and all sorts of issues. And it's clear that I don't do any of those cases from what I'm posting, but I think people just feel like they want to give me a case because they've been following me as long as they have. I also get lots of calls to speak and to write and to do a whole host of things. And I do get calls in my practice area from time to time as well. But if you become sort of a subject matter expert on LinkedIn, you never have to use the word expert or thought leader, but people will come to see and know you as that and start referring you matters. And you'll start really developing a network. If you're involved in the Voluntary Bar Association, you ever have to market an event and you post something, you have a large following, you'll be surprised how many people sign up for that event. If you are trying to raise money for some charity or some event and you post about it on social media, you'd be surprised how quickly you raise money for that event. Suddenly you have a large following. And that's another way people feel like they want to give back to you. You've been giving to them, so they want to contribute to your charity or to your event or your fundraiser or whatever else it may be that you're engaged in or doing. So that's how you do it. Now, how do you get a lot of traction? People are always asking, how do I get my posts to go viral? Part of it is by developing a large following. But understand that LinkedIn has an algorithm, as do all these social platforms. And this kind of reminds me of Facebook, where sometimes you see these people posting like, "Oh, I'm posting this thing because only 25 people on my feed see this, and this is my way to get around the Facebook way of preventing other people from reading my post." Blah blah blah. That's all kind of ridiculous, actually. People who complain that people don't see their posts on Facebook is that Facebook doesn't consider your posts worthy to be seen. Like basically, they pushed it out to some of your friends, and no one's liking or even looking at it, and it's just not content they think other people want to see. They don't care that you're eating a tamale or hanging out on the beach or whatever it might be. No, don't take it personally. It's just the way it is. And LinkedIn's no different, by the way. LinkedIn, how they do it, my understanding, having spoken with a number of people who are very active on the platform, study the platform, and are very intimate with its dynamics and inner workings, is that let's say I post something. I post some sort of comment or some tidbit on how to take a deposition, for example. They send that out to a few hundred of my contacts and my followers, and they see what type of engagement they have. They see how many people look at it, how many comment, how many like it, how many share it. And if it gets a lot of traction there, then they push it out to a larger segment. Maybe now they go to 1,000 people, and they see what happens at that level. And it starts going out in larger concentric circles. And that's how a post, which started with maybe just a few views, may end up with over 1 million views, because LinkedIn's algorithm is, and it's spread out further and further because people like the content. Remember, LinkedIn is trying to keep people engaged. They're not trying to spam people. So if you are providing daily content and people don't find it that particularly interesting, they're not going to share it with everybody. I mean, it's just going to undermine what they're trying to do. They're only going to share your content if people like your content, and they're going to test your content each step of the way. So that's how it works. So how do you game the system? There are a couple of things. First of all, I suggest you don't try to game the system. I suggest you don't try to go viral for the sake of going viral. Post what you want to post. Talk about what you want to talk about in terms you want to talk about it, and let the chips fall where they may. But for those of you who want the answer to the question, I'll share it with you anyway. There are two things you can do. One, understand that there's certain content that is just more followed and favorable on LinkedIn than other content. Content that's motivational, inspirational, has more feet and more legs than just your general advice content. I provide a lot of inspirational, motivational posts for young lawyers and law students who are struggling, especially during these times of COVID. I've done a lot of that because people don't have jobs, they can't find jobs, they've been laid off. I'm just telling them it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Those posts do very well generally because I think people want to hear that. They click on it, they like it, they comment on it, and then it goes out further into these concentric circles. So posts that are motivational, inspirational, ones that are more personal, ones that talk about your own struggles and how you overcame them, ones that other people can take value from, those are the ones that seem to take the most. The ones that are just how-tos, some go viral, some don't. I don't really have, having looked at the analytics for 4 years now, I can't say that my posts on depositions are any more popular than my posts on trial skills, or more popular on how to write or speak. All I tell you is that my posts on inspiration, motivational issues on personal struggles I've overcome, and obstacles I've overcome, those have really gained a huge following, and that's really picked up in terms of the views, in terms of people who've started following me, people who've connected with me on a personal level. So if you're doing a post on a regular basis, you pick a subject matter, and let's say you decide to post every day, maybe that I mentioned earlier, the Friday the potpourri, maybe something personal. Maybe something personal doesn't have to necessarily be related to that practice area, maybe about your practice generally, about a hobby you have, about something else, and then it could be your Friday post. My wife does these Friday hug posts. She's the executive director of the Florida Defense Lawyers Association, named Anna, and she does these Friday hugs that are very popular, and sort of like we're gonna get through this together type deal. That's one thing. So I mentioned there are two things you can do. Another thing you can do is create a pod. I've not done this personally, but I've seen this be used very effectively. And a pod is basically where you have a circle of LinkedIn friends. Let's say you have 20 friends, and you all agree that you're going to like and comment and share each other's posts whenever they come up. And then you're going to let each other know, you're going to tag each other so you know that they're coming up. And that's going to create a certain interest level in that post. And that's going to push it out to the next concentric circle. and hopefully it takes off from there. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But basically, you've done that initial push. If you're trying to get like you have a boat sort of on the sand, trying to push it into the ocean, that sort of that initial heave ho will get into the water and get things moving along a little bit. So that's another way. It's called a pod. I think I've heard it called other things, but you basically create a network of LinkedIn followers. Maybe you tag them, you let them know when you're posting, and each time each of you post, you like, share, and comment on that post, and that kind of plays the LinkedIn analytics enough to say that it's being, hey, look, it's popular, it's your interaction, it's being moved on. And something else that is not necessarily makes it viral, but something else that's become very popular on LinkedIn are short videos. I did it for a while. I'll probably circle back and start doing them again. I kind of, have to find the time to do them. But there are a real need out there and space for content on LinkedIn for short videos. What you do is that, and there's some people do it really well. There's a marketer who helps lawyers. I think her name is Shay Roybottom, I believe. And she's the one I kind of learned this from, although I never used her services or paid for her services, but just watching her on the platform. She's the one who's taught people how to use, video platforms. Basically what you do is, let's say cybersecurity, for example. You want to talk about cybersecurity. You do these 90-second or even 60-second videos, maybe in your office or outside. You can do them on your phone if you want, or you can buy some basic recording equipment. And, you record a session on it. You try to make it conversational. You don't use notes. You don't use PowerPoint. You just talk to the camera. And you record a bunch of these. And then what you can do is you can submit the video to a company called Rev or another platform, and they'll type up your audio so that the text comes out on the bottom. And so, somebody doesn't have to actually put up the audio, the text comes up, and that's really popular. A lot of people don't realize on social media, people don't want to actually listen to your videos because they're at work or somewhere else, but they want to at least see the text. They want to maybe they're somewhere in a public place and they don't have their headphones with them, so they want to see what you're saying. Rev, I think, charges $1.25 or so per minute to transcribe whatever you're saying. So if you have 90-second video, and for less than $2, you have the transcription of it. So it's something those seem to take off more. They seem to be more popular. The platform is really gearing toward more video content, and there are not that many people doing video content, actually, even though there's been a real push to do it in the last 18 months or so. So still a lot of space in the platform to do that. So, I encourage you to, do some video content. And with anything else, you just have to experiment with the platform. You have to click on everything. You have to look at all the pages and all the drop downs and see what it has to offer. You have to start, do a search on, LinkedIn marketing, do the hashtag, see who's writing on it, and follow those people on the platform, see what they're doing. You'll see who's really being recommended. You'll probably get some heavy hitters, people who have, 40, 50, 60,000 followers, and you see how they're posting, what they're sharing. Look at the thought leaders and try, looking for people in your area, see how they're posting. If you're doing, I said negligent security, if you're doing employment ADA cases, see who's posting in that area and what they're posting, what they're sharing. That can give you an indication of what they're doing. And look at and look at how many people like their posts, how many people comment on their posts, and that'll give you a sense of what resonates and what people are reading and following. But I think LinkedIn is here to stay. I think more and more people are using it. More and more people are enjoying the platform, and they're really learning how to make the most of the platform. And so, I strongly recommend that you get on the platform and you learn from it. I have a book called LinkedIn for Lawyers. It's a free book. You can find it on my personal website, www.miamimentor.com. It's miamimentor.com. Spell it just how it sounds. And there's a drop-down bookshelf, and one of the books is LinkedIn for Lawyers. It's published by DRI, and it's sort of a soup to nuts on LinkedIn, how to use it. And a lot of what I've talked about here is there. It's a short book, you can read it in a couple hours. And I have a lot of other free books and resources, videos, and so forth. But if you're on the fence, if you say to yourself, yeah, I can see myself doing this for a full year, read the book, watch the video, study the platform, look at what others are doing, follow a few folks, outline what your long-term plan is and what you think you can write about and how you're going to post about it, and then dive in. And ultimately, if you don't follow through, you don't follow through. But at least you had a plan, you thought it through, you counted the cost, and you tried it. And again, it's not for everybody, but you will have lots of benefits. You will get to know people that you never would have met before. I know people from around the world. I know lawyers literally from around the world, from Asia, from Africa, from Latin America. Um, I've spoken at conferences in Africa, in India. I've been interviewed by journalists and others in Canada and Latin America. And it's a lot of fun. It's a huge blast. It's, we only live one time on this earth, and we only get to spin around the sun so many times, and that's a lot of fun. It's really enjoyable. So, that's certainly another benefit. Developing long-term meaningful relationships is certainly a way you can certainly do that on this platform. So, if you have any questions about LinkedIn, how to use it, how to make the most of it, if you're stuck on something, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is on my website, both my personal and my firm, and look forward to it. Have the best luck and wish you well on LinkedIn.